Okay. This is what's, I've been having lots of conversations about what all of this means. And it's like there's been a big disruption, not just in our business, but in the world. There's a massive disruption taking place. And what does it mean for us in terms of our business? I don't want to sit here and think and say, oh, this is such a great, it's all so good for us. We just have to have the mindset and then we'll ride the wave and it'll be brilliant. Because there are hardships. Some of us are facing hardships. There can be, worry about whether, we're going to be able to have enough money left at the end of the month to pay our bills and, look after our families and where we're going to get our next clients from. So this is a huge period of uncertainty. However, I'm completely convinced that mindset is going to play a huge role in how each and every one of us rides this wave. We're all brilliant at what we do. We all are great at helping our clients. However, the big thing that's going to separate the players in this time that we're in is how we think about it. Do we see this as an opportunity to rethink what we're doing, how we're doing it, maybe even who we're serving? Are we happy in our business? Is it working for us? Because often we're just doing stuff day after day, week after week, month after month. But if you were to sit back and think, am I enjoying my business? Is it giving me the quality in my life that I was wanted when I first set out? Or has it become something that's just become like a job and I'm not really enjoying it anymore and it feels like a struggle and a chore? So this is a chance for us to rethink everything. What would be amazing is if we come out of this with realizing or just with some knowing that we can have less in our lives and we will be just as happy or even happier than we are now. That maybe we don't need all this stuff. We don't need to make it complicated or difficult. Actually, we can simplify it and we can start leaving out the stuff that doesn't serve us in our businesses or doesn't make us happy. And we can just start focusing on the things which really, really matter. And they're going to move the needle in our business. One of the big things that I've realized, and I've been running my own business, 2 businesses now for the last 15 years. And it took me a long time for the penny to drop that actually I can simplify everything in my business. All I need to do is to focus on one strategy that's going to bring me clients. And the one strategy I choose should be something that I absolutely love doing. And then when I can focus on that more deeply, then I start getting clients coming in. And this may be a great time for us to sit back and look at our business, the big picture of it, rather than be caught in the minutiae of the everyday hustling of getting clients. Another thing which has been really big for me and talking to clients about, what's going on currently, is that we can spend a lot of time and energy anticipating things going wrong in our business, not being able to get clients, suddenly maybe clients cancelling or, sales calls not happening and people saying they can't afford us. We could spend a lot of time worrying about that and anticipating it. And that is wasted energy because we don't know for sure what's going to happen. There are still people out there who want to invest, especially when there's a downturn. They see that as a time to invest in themselves and in their businesses, keep it going, and they're absolutely willing to work with coaches or, experts. So if we tell ourselves that no one's going to be interested in what we have, people haven't gotten the money to afford us, we're not going to be able to get clients, that we're not going to be able to bring in any revenue. If we tell ourselves all those stories about what's lying ahead of us, that's what we're going to be creating with our thinking. So it's really important for us to keep our focus on what we want. And although there are going to be bumps in the road, there's going to be more setbacks than normal. There are still people out there who need our services and who will invest in themselves. And I feel it's really key for us to keep this story and our focus in our mind, especially at times like this. Now mindset is more important than ever, and it's going to be the difference, it's going to make the difference of how we travel this challenging path right now. And there are people who are going to thrive, business owners who will thrive through this situation, and there are others who will struggle to survive. And I really believe, I truly believe, and I don't want this to come across as glib or an easy thing to say, but I do believe that how we think about our business is everything right now. The quality of your thoughts, the quality of the thoughts that you are thinking, that you're creating moment by moment about your business, about how much revenue you can generate, how difficult it's going to be, how easy you can make it. This is really, really crucial right now. I know how easy it is to go into this, into the rabbit hole of feeling, you know, this scarcity and fear thinking, because I have had it. And I know that if I allow myself to stew in that place, I'm going to create more of that in my mind. And it's going to be really hard then for me to start thinking strategically and clearly about what I can do, the actions I can take to get clients. And it's funny because I was thinking the other day that maybe this is now an opportunity for me to see what new problem I can solve. Because I've been in this business for a while and we always evolve in our businesses, but I've been solving the same problem for a long time, which is how my clients can get high paying clients, make more income by building a resilient, strong mindset. But there may be other problems that I had never seen before, but now I've got time to step back and take a good look at things. There may be new problems that I have a solution to, which I'd never thought about before. So there are new doors which are opening even in the midst of all this chaos. And it's how you choose to think about it, which will be the key of how you come across, how you come out the other side of this. And disruption is always challenging, is always difficult, but it does have a silver lining. And we can take that silver lining, we can grab hold of it if we allow ourselves to believe is possible for us. It all starts with a thought. Everything we see in the world, apart from nature, everything we see around us, all began with a thought. And then something was created from that thought. And it's exactly the same in our business. We have opportunities here if we allow ourselves to believe that that is the case. If we choose to believe that it's going to be difficult, we have to contract, we have to just keep our heads above the water, it's going to be really painful for the next few months, then that is what we will create with our thinking. We have a choice. We literally have a choice because we're creating our reality moment by moment through our thoughts. And the situation outside won't change, but we can change how we perceive it. And that is completely and 100% in our control and in our power. Any thoughts, anyone? And please feel free to say I've spoken absolute rubbish. I don't mind that at all. I love to be challenged.
I think for me, Nina, I can, first of all, I think, this flows on to some of the things that, I've been thinking as well. But it's the whole thing of, no, I don't think, what you're saying isn't that, oh, if you just, think positively, then everything's going to be all right. That's not what you're saying. It's simply that if you focus on all the negativity and you come from a place of fear, it kills the creativity that you have and your ability to problem solve, which is really what you need in this particular time. It may well be that the problem in an individual's case is so big because it can't be fixed. But if you have that ability to be clear in your thinking and see, right, okay, I've been doing something this particular way. What other ways can I think? How can I think differently? How can I sort of, it's sort of asking the right questions of yourself rather than telling yourself that there's no hope. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah. So if we were to approach this issue without any fearful thinking, So if we were to look at our business and say, okay, so how can I attract clients? How can I attract more income into my business? And your mind is clear of negative, fearful, scarcity thinking, then how would you solve this problem with a clear mind? That's when you really start getting into creative thinking and finding solutions to problems. You know, when you're so focused on your client and the problem that they've brought you, and you're really listening hard, and you know you can help them, and your mind is so clear and sharp. That's a sort of creativity we can bring to our own business right now. I think that's what I was trying to say. A cluttered mind is never going to help us to solve the problem we see in front of us. So it's how we can get to that place of clarity, even in the midst of this chaos. And we can do that because we are able to create our thinking moment by moment. We have this superpower that we overlook because we're rushing to do things all the time. But if we were just to take some time to sit back and really think about this, then you would come up with some amazing solutions and some new ideas for your business.
I mean, Nina, why don't we sort of throw it out there and you know, ask a couple of questions? It's like, you know, first of all, how do you feel your mindset is at this particular time? You know, or have you got any sort of things that you're doing to try and keep yourself sort of in that creative mindset? And I guess secondly, I mean, how has it helped you in terms of, you know, not going into panic mode, or are you in panic mode? It's okay if you are, right? And
Absolutely.
you know, is there anybody here that can help with that kind of thing? Like, that's kind of the reason we're having this conversation. It's not to say that we've got the answers. It's
no, not at all. So does anyone want to jump in with anything that's working for them, or anything that they're feeling they're really coming up against and there's resistance? Hi, Chris.
Hey, how you doing? Adam, good to see you. Obviously, we've spoken
good to see you.
before. Nina, lovely
Evening,
to meet
Chris.
you, and everybody
Nice to
else
meet
here.
you,
Hi.
Chris, as well.
I think I'm just going to start prefacing this with something really simple. I've actually been in France for the last 4 weeks, and I currently feel like I'm living in the future. I've seen and I've watched very carefully what's happening in Italy, and I'm seeing what's happening in France currently. And I think the key thing that you've said there, this is going to be a rough situation for everyone. And what we're currently doing as an agency and what we're talking to our clients about at the moment isn't about contracts and renewals and timeframes or monies or invoicing. We're actually having conversations with companies, big and small, people that are very scared about their livelihoods disappearing tomorrow, which unfortunately I actually tend to think a lot of us are going to find ourselves in a hell of a pinch once a lockdown is implemented, which unfortunately seems to be the only way countries can move at this stage. But what we are doing, what we are focusing on is helping our clients to understand that now it's all about evolution and change. That's the only thing that's going to matter. What we're currently selling to our clients today will not be the same thing that we will be selling in 4 weeks' time. And it won't be the same thing that we're going to be selling in 3 months or 6 months or potentially even a year from now, because the world is changing. And this isn't a panic, fear-mongering statement. It's just fact. I've watched the economic impact of what a lockdown looks like in France and in Italy, and we're just at the beginning. Italy has extended. These lockdowns will end up lasting 6, 10, 12 weeks, potentially longer, if people don't follow the rules. And literally the only thing that we've got right now is to spend our time thinking about what does that marketplace look like, and what does one of our clients actually called it the new normal. That's what we need to figure out, right? We all need to be looking at what the new normal is and what that's going to be looking like in terms of next month, the month after, 3 months from now.
Absolutely. That's brilliant. Thank you. And for giving us a bigger perspective as well, because you said you've been looked into the future and we're all going to be following on. It is.
Chris, how did you see, sorry, Nina, how did you see people out there, you know, because I mean, Nina's been talking mindset. How have you seen a difference in the way that people seem to be sort of thinking, coping in regards to the way that, you know, their mindset, their, you know, mental health is going to come into all of this as well? Have you seen anything, you know, looking into the future that people are or have been doing to try and cope with it, with the lockdown, with the isolation? Anything there you've seen?
So what's really interesting is I'm having conversations today with friends back in the UK, that are the same conversations I was having with people here in the UK, in France, sorry, 10 days ago. And this is something that really concerns me because it is going the same way. People are defiant until the last, and none of us want to be inconvenienced. And I know that sounds like I'm being flippant about it, but it's very true. Everyone wants to believe this isn't going to impact me. It's not going to hurt me. It's not necessarily going to change the way I do business. And even here in France, so the day of the confinement starting at midday on Tuesday, that day they stopped and ended up giving verbal warnings to over 4,500 people who were just out and about because they wanted to. Today we're on the third full day, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, a third full day. And you know, they're still having to fine people. The fines have gone from 35 euros to 135. They're now talking about pushing for maximum limits, which will be 485 euros, because people don't want to listen to this. And the reason why I think that the new normal that we're all looking for, these confinements and the same thing that's happening in Italy for 2 weeks, you know, they're still not near the peak, they don't believe, and unfortunately deaths are increasing. But it's because people aren't listening to that part. Confinement is going to be really hard, but in the grand scheme of things, compared to the previous generation who went through World War II, for example, and they had real issues that they had to deal with, our generation right now and the people around are being super lax in terms of, you know, being confined to my house doesn't sound like a lot of fun. I don't really want to do that. I want to be able to go outside and go for a 20K run or a 10K bike ride or whatever it might be, not realizing the impact that has, which will be to increase the length of this. Now, in France so far, you're still seeing people not regarding this as being something that's almost serious. It's very easy to kind of play it down and to kind of pretend like it's not really affecting the masses. You're seeing stuff on social media being shared on a daily basis that is absolutely ridiculous, comparing it to the number of road deaths, for example, and traffic accidents that kill people. And you're thinking this isn't anything to do with that. The impacts aren't the same. But the key thing more than anything else is the supporting businesses that potentially pay your clients are not going to be there. And they're not going to be there for a while. So whatever it is that your clients are going to be going through is going to be the same thing that invariably you're going to be going through, and the people that you usually pay are going to be going through. And we're all in this together. Something that we changed very, very quickly as of beginning of this week, seeing what we were going through here in France, we straight away impacted this with our clients. We started to have conversations, not to scare, but to say, look, stop panicking about everything. I don't want anyone to worry about it. Invoices, monies, doesn't matter at this stage. But also we're changing contact and communication with our clients to direct one-to-one messaging on WhatsApp, i.e. pick up the phone if you're starting to panic. Pick up the phone if you're trying to do something and you don't know how to do it. Pick up the phone if you're having a bad day and you're sat in front of the news and you want to cry because you don't know what's going to happen next week. Like, we're all in the same boat, right? This is going to hurt, and it's going to be a pinch on absolutely all of us. And the mental well-being right now has to be, and I can see the shift happening already. But, you know, I've got friends who have set up a call. We've got a group of us that all met together traveling. Some are in Canada, some are in Australia. We've managed to find a time that will actually work for all three of us so that we can all jump on a Zoom call just like this, because we all realize right now that this is going to get harder and harder and harder. And the UK currently feels a lot like France did a week ago. It's almost pretending like this will be all right. You know, we're advising you not really to go out, but if there's just 3 or 4 of you, you can still pop to the pub and have a cheeky pint. That's exactly what was happening in France last week. And again, it has to take those hard measures. So all I would say to anybody is look out for the people that you work with, whether it be up the pipeline or down the pipeline, it doesn't matter. The people that you need to pay, start talking to them now. Explain, you know, if these people don't pay me, I'm going to be in a position that I can't pay you, whatever it might be. And the last thing I'd say for anyone that is on this call that is in the UK, before you go sign up for a government-backed loan, which is something that the French have done for bigger companies because they know that the bigger companies will find ways to bail themselves out. But for smaller businesses, this is going to be a noose around our necks if you take loans that invariably at some point will have interest, and that will only cover overheads and costs that if you don't have the income and the revenue to support, you're never going to come back from, and you're never going to be able to pick that back up. So I think those are the things that I've noticed so far in the conversations that I'm having with companies. And these are the parts that I would say really at this stage, focus on those, look after the people around you, look after clients as much as you would friends, and keep the communication as open and as honest as you can. Whether you think I'm mental and I'm thinking this is a way too much worse than it actually is, or whether you seriously believe the same thing is going to happen as what's happened in France and Italy, just have that conversation and make sure people know what page you're on and that you're there for them.
Yeah, and
thank you so
that's
much.
a really great insight. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. That's amazing, Chris. Thank you for sharing that. Huge. Anyone else?
I don't know about you, Nina.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna. Can I just sort of follow on from that just before, and we can because the key thing in all of that is it's communication, isn't it? And you know, if you have clients, if they're scared, they're worried, and all the rest of it, it's about communicating and getting a bit more personal again. You know, if you've been used to maybe not communicating on a one-to-one level with your clients as much as previously, well, this is the time to get personal. This is the time to do things like Chris has said. You know, give them your WhatsApp. You know, set up these sorts of calls. You know, if you're on different time zones or something like that, use personal videos to check in with people just to see how they are. The thing with like virtual, you can make it as personal as possible without actually speaking one-on-one. But you have to sort of actually show up. Like, that's the key thing, is if you go into hiding, and again, it comes back to your mindset piece, Nina. It's like, if you're thinking that everything is going to crap and it's all just going to affect me, you'll kind of retreat into your shell and you'll only think about you and what you need to do, and you'll disappear. Whereas, you know, you show up and you constantly communicate in whatever way that works for you and your clients. That's pretty much one of the best things I think that you can do at the moment.
And people remember if you reach out to them, if you take care of them, if you're there for them, people remember when the times are good again, then, you know, they will remember those acts of kindness. Does anyone want to jump in?
Yeah, I'd love to say a few things.
Hi, Bettina.
Hi, Nina, and
Hey,
thanks
Bettina.
for both of you for hosting this.
It's a pleasure.
And I couldn't agree more. So I live in Prescott, Arizona, but I was born and raised in Germany. And so I get the downloads from my family in Germany, and I get it here. And here, everything's basically, even though there's not a lot of virus activity going on where I live, all the restaurants and all the social places are closed down, and even the bank is only doing drive-through kind of interactions, and we don't even have a confirmed case in the county that I live in. So it's interesting to me how it all happens, and I couldn't agree more with you about mindset. I happen to be really deep into neuroscience, and I posted a YouTube of a German doctor that put some things in perspective. He is an epidemiologist, and he's been tracking viruses for a long time, and he has also been tracking coronaviruses. To me, listening to that video was helpful, and it soothed me, because it was like, what's happening right now we don't have any control over. Whether this virus is as bad as people are saying or not doesn't make any difference, because what makes the difference is what the governments are doing. And this process of that people don't want to be told what to do, you know, brings up this gigantic rebellion. And I think it's important for us to know that we have other choices, like you said earlier, that we actually have the choice to decide to make this into an interesting time. So for example, my workshops that I just had busted my ass to get together have all been canceled because people don't want to get together. I mean, people in the US are like phobic around germs anyway. Everybody just wants to walk around in a plastic bag. And so it's way worse than it probably is in other places. And I was supposed to go for an extended trip to South America in April, and all of that has gotten scrapped. And instead I'm going, well, maybe I'm gonna just read my books and write the books that I haven't written and develop more of my online presence. And I've already been teaching a lot of workshops online anyway. And then I start to feel expansive. but there's something that happens, the back part of our brain, that is our primitive brain, is gonna go into panic. And when we go into panic, we don't think about us anymore. We think about me. And that's why people empty the grocery shelves. I mean, you know, there's a big store in Prescott where people can buy gigantic amounts of everything. And they told me that they had a whole pallet of toilet paper, and they're like 12 rolls of toilet paper and 24 packages or something. That's one package. And it was sold out in 20 minutes. I mean, people are going nuts because they're in the back part of their brain that isn't about connecting, that isn't about having real conversations, that isn't about all of that. And as long as people are in that state, they aren't going to be taking care of each other. And I think the biggest thing that we need to do right now is get our brains into the right place. And I'm going to post another link. Lynn McTaggart, who does The Power of Eight, and many of you know her because she lives in England. She's doing a thing about helping with the virus every Wednesday, and people from all over the world can tune in. So I'm going to post that link right now, and it changes people's brainwave states, and then they have hope again. And as soon as we have hope, we end up being a contribution rather than something not very pleasant to other people. So that's just what I want to say. There are moments when I get really depressed and frustrated. So I'm not excused from what is going on because I'm an empath, and all of what's going on in the world really impacts me. So I have to be super conscientious about how I conduct myself, what I expose myself to, and how I go about what I'm doing. So I'll just post that link for Lynn McTaggart.
And I know I see that you posted that link for the video as well from the German doctor in chat.
Exactly.
If anyone would like to have a look at that, thank you so much for that.
And I have lots more. I'm like the queen of resources. So if you make a group, I'm happy to get stuff out because there's endless amounts of things. I mean, you know, like the dolphins are back in the channels of Venice for the first time in I don't know how long. I think nature is happy that we're pulling back a little bit.
Yes.
The Earth is going to have a little opportunity to recover. People in China are able to listen to the birds for the first time, maybe in their lives. Yeah. I mean, so yes, it's like there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's always the other side of it.
Always the other side.
What did you say to me earlier, Nina, that one of your clients said we've been put on the naughty step? Is that right?
Yes. So someone said to me earlier today, she said it's almost like we've been put in a room and told to think about what we've been doing. Have a good long hard think about what we've done.
Oh, that's brilliant.
It's great. It's like we've been put on the naughty.
We've been forced for a time out. You know, what are we doing to this planet?
Shut in our room like little children. Stephanie has said she'd like to share something. So Stephanie from New York City, please go ahead and let us know what you'd like to say.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Oh, you can hear me. This is so good because I wasn't sure. Like, please don't let my headset just decide to act up. Two things. I bring you greetings from the wonderful city of New York, where we have been told that we're not nice people. Well, you know what? Because of this situation, I think the onion has been peeled back. People are smiling at people on the street because they're so glad to be outside that you don't have, it's like, oh my God, there's another person. Hi. Good morning. And I said, I never thought I'd see the day, but this is good. So this is the good side of this. And you have to find joy. You just got it. You have to like diligently and aggressively look for the light. So that being said, I'm a storyteller by nature, always have been. And two things. Thank you, Nina and Adam, for thinking of this group Zoom call today. It is needed more than you know. So first off, thank you so much. Secondly, this is going to make you laugh, but You guys know that the Rocky theme, dun 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 dun, and whenever you hear that, you just get this sense of like, help is coming, like we're fighting through. The images that come to mind that make me smile are the Avengers movies. Now remember I'm talking about the last two, not, the last two. Now remember, I forgot, not Endgame, but the one before Endgame. I remember when everyone got faded away, people walked out of the theater and they were just crushed. People were angry and they were like, how dare you take us through when all of our favorites are being faded out, and then you leave us here. You just leave us here and the movie's over. What are we supposed to do? How does it end? I have to wait a whole year and a half. How dare you, sir? Right? And then when Endgame came out, everyone was sitting in the theater and they were like, how is this going to work out? I mean, we're looking at what's in front of us. We're looking at what we saw from the last chapter of this movie. How is this going to end? You know where I'm going. The people who've seen Endgame, you know where I'm going. There was that scene. Come on, walk with me. If you know the movie, there was that scene when Captain America, that's right, he was standing with his broken shield, right? And he was facing what looked like to be just a loss of everything. And we as audience members, if you're not familiar with the movie, you can find the clip on YouTube. But if you are, you know where I'm going. So we as moviegoers, we're staring at this screen and we're saying, this looks really bad. And then what happens? Help arrives. Help arrives. Community arrives. And everyone banded together and they took what was their unique skill set and they banded together as a unit. And they helped to overcome this great challenge. We are stronger together. We are stronger together. And I know for people who are not used to reaching out for help, people who are very independent, I can do it by myself. Those are the ones that we have to seek out and let them know it's okay. It's okay to need someone now. I'm checking in on you. It's okay. So to Nina and Adam and everyone here on this Zoom call today, thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing up. Thank you so much. Now, I don't know any of you personally, but I feel like this has bonded us, even for this short time today. And I just want you to know, from me to you, Stephanie in New York City, thank you. And we are stronger together. That's it.
Fantastic.
Well, anyone that can sort of make the Avengers sound beautiful, that's pretty impressive. The Avengers is awesome. I've never thought of it being beautiful, but that analogy and that story, it really does sort of make you think. Yeah, I mean, it's a massive reason why. Nina and I were talking just separately earlier this week together, and we just sort of said, like, there's probably more people that want this kind of conversation. So why don't we just see if people want to join?
I think we both had the same thought, and we said, "Oh, I was thinking that as well." So we decided to do this.
So, right. Yeah, I mean that's amazing, and I'm glad you didn't give away the true ending of the end game, because that happened to me on a podcast. I was interviewing somebody, and he gave me away the ending of the movie that I hadn't seen, that I've been waiting to over Christmas. So yeah, that was
never. Yeah, notice I was very careful, like tiptoe.
Absolutely.
Yes, but thank you so much.
You're a wonderful storyteller, Stephanie. Letitia would like to share. Letitia, the floor is yours.
Hi, I am in the beautiful Shenandoah Valley in Harrisonburg, Virginia. And thank you both for the call. So this is where I find myself. I'm oscillating. In moments, I feel great strength and like, oh my God, I can completely help with this. I've got the skills, the gifts, the talents, and the abilities and all that stuff. And then I find myself in these moments of retreat where I'm cocooning. And I'm working to steady myself so that I'm not, in that back and forth space. So what I've been thinking about is how can I be of service, like offer something to my community and grow my business, right? So it's kind of like, back and forth. And so I have a buddy of mine who is doing a dance off. She's just been doing these Zoom dances every day. And I've reached out to her and said, this is what I want to do. I have an idea of maybe pulling people together either in Facebook Live or a Zoom call, offering some tapping, some meditation time, but I need some guidance on how to structure that. So I think that is helpful. She's awesome at putting people together. I think that's really going to help me with the community piece of it. But in terms of the business side of it, I am still working through what that's going to look like. So I just want to say I feel great hope, even though there's a lot of the challenge. But I also feel like personally, I don't know, there's like it's strange, but there's like almost like a physical evolution. Like I feel myself physically shifting. It's very bizarre. I've never felt anything like it. And when I'm outside, when I've stepped outside, it's like this combination in my mind of like 9/11 where everything kind of stopped, but also like a big snowstorm, right? So like, you know what I mean? Because people are like not in the streets. You can hear the silence around you. But it's also springtime and like really beautiful. It's very bizarre. So I'm just working to ground myself, stay as present as I possibly can, and trying to resist that urge to cocoon and retreat into myself so that I can still be of service communally and in my business.
Brilliant. I love it. I love that question. How can I be of service and grow my business? These are the two big pillars, aren't they? And if we can just serve both of those, how amazing. I love that. And you said something really important. How can I be in the moment? Because we forget this is all we have. This moment is all we have. We don't live in the past. We don't live in the future. We live in this moment. This is where we're breathing and thinking. This is where we're creating. This is our only moment of creation. And being in the moment is the most powerful thing we can do. Yet it's so challenging, isn't it? Because our stories start coming in, our thoughts run away with us, and suddenly we're in the past full of fear, or we're projecting fear into the future.
Or even working, because a big part of what I've done, do in my work is after people have moved through something, there's a lot of future pacing, right? Which comes from the inside. So this whole idea of future pacing is being challenged at the moment because, our minds aren't free in the same way to move forward in a normal space because we don't know. And so really working to resist the urge to create from that fear and trying to settle really deeply, viscerally settle into the peace of that is where I'm working for myself and what I'm trying to offer my clients. But it's a challenge right now.
It is absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was fantastic.
And something that sort of I thought about there as well, the how can I be of service and serve my clients? And I think one thing that I'm really spending some time really trying to think about and figure out and work out is there a way is that purely the right necessarily question at this particular time? Because it's like, how can I serve? Maybe I'm trying to get to the question, or more probably around, how can I serve more people and help grow our businesses? And what I mean by that is collaborating and kind of like some way of sort of combining with other people that either do something similar, or maybe what you were referring to there, Letitia, is you've got a friend that does this over there, you've got someone over there that sort of knows how to bring groups together and all the rest of it. It's like that's two different people potentially with two different businesses, and you can take someone that maybe has an offline dance studio type thing, bring it together with somebody that has runs a nursery or a youth club or something to do with that, and then somebody in the middle that knows the tech side of being able to put that together and being able to provide children with that kind of outlet for having combined classes like this or something. I don't know, but that's just something that comes into my head, and that could help every single person along the way, each of those people, and be of service to the parents that me being one of a 1-year-old and a nearly 4-year-old, it's going to get challenging, especially with a 4-year-old, nearly 4-year-old. It's like we're going to run out of ideas. Like we had genuinely, that's one of the things that concerns me most at this point. It's like, what are we going to do with the kids? like genuinely, like they go nuts if they don't, especially the 4-year-old, gets, if she doesn't get out and get exercise, it's blooming hard. Like, so that sort of thing, and it's like that collaboration thing, like what can we do together to actually solve a multitude of problems that we would never necessarily even thought about or been able to do on our own. And yeah, I think there is something there, and it's you'll never find that out without having conversations with people you know, people you don't know. Social media is going nuts right now. I think that the usage is up a ridiculous amount. The internet usage is up like 70% in the world, and social media is up 30% or something like that. There are people out there online looking for answers, asking questions, all that kind of thing. So put yourself in the conversation and start sort of seeing if there are people out there that have skills that you could both use to serve others. And that doesn't happen if you, again, coming back to the beginning, Nina, if you're sitting there in a place of fear and worry, it's like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. This is all bad. Well, go out there, not literally, because you're not allowed at the moment, but go out there and just have conversations with people, see what people are saying. All the groups on Facebook, on LinkedIn, although they're kind of dead, but there's so many people sort of having conversations, and don't be afraid to ask the questions. And I think that's a big thing. The question is, should I be selling? Should I be promoting right now? Well, if you've got something that's genuinely going to help people, absolutely. You're not necessarily trying to like bang it down people's throats saying buy now, because if you're doing that anyway, I mean, that's what I think. I think I got asked the question, how should I change my marketing strategy in this kind of environment? And my answer was, it kind of upsets me that in a way that's a question, because if you've been going about your marketing in the right way, which is all about sort of, solving a very specific problem for a very specific client and adding value along the way, and you know them so well that you are just there to serve and do the best that you can in any situation, then you'll intuitively know what the best thing for them is. But if you're the kind of business that's been very much, promotion, buy now, it's all about me, then yes, you're going to struggle, because you've got to have a complete shift in the way that you communicate, because people are just, they're not going to even respond anyway. Not that they may even have been responding, to that kind of thing before, but now is the time. It's not the time necessarily to go out and make the high offer pitches, that kind of thing. It's there to be generous. It's there, look, we normally do this kind of thing, but obviously with this kind of time, we've kind of pivoted and made a sort of smaller version or a different type of version of it that we are, we're looking to do it in a group format if you do one-on-one stuff, or we're looking to do it in different ways, like over Zoom, like over this kind of thing. And it's all about making sure that when you're putting your message out there and you're communicating, it's kind of done in a leadership way, because I think marketing is a form of leadership. It's about your personal brand. It's about actually sort of showing up, again, being consistent, all that kind of thing. And you can't do that unless you actually care for the people that you serve, number one. So that is, your best marketing strategy is to actually care about the people you serve. It's a bit crazy, but I think it's, if you sit in isolation, and I know that's probably, it's not really, that's honestly not, pun not intended, but if you do sit in isolation and try and think, what am I going to do to grow my business, or how am I going to, generate an income, you're going to find it very hard to actually understand what that answer is. Whereas if you go out there and talk to the community, talk to your clients, what do you really, obviously the question, what are you struggling with right now is probably going to get a very similar answer, but go deeper. Okay, so what specifically within your business, within the thing that you do, the problem that you solve, you can get very, very specific. And it's about communication. It's about showing up. It's about being there and asking the questions. And yeah, I mean, this is a time to maybe expand and build your network as well, I think. Show up, be helpful, be useful, be valuable. That's what your marketing can focus on right now. Don't be necessarily putting all your budget in the, the short-term promotion stuff. It's the longer term, creating content at this time. Bettina, you talked about, or is she still, she's still here, writing your books. That's a great idea. I mean, if you can stand, if your business obviously has that buffer and the cash flow, and not everyone does, then it's a great time to start creating the content that could serve you for years. Thinking about, right, what can I do to be helpful and valuable, not just to people now, but in the future. There's all sorts of things that we can be doing, but it's about showing up.
And you might have time now to look back, work on some of the programs you bought that you shelved, and actually think which program is going to serve me right now, and learn a new skill, or implement a program to see it right through to the end. You've invested in it. Now's the time to get your return on investment on it. So it might be time to start looking at those sort of things as well that you can do, because we may have a little bit more bandwidth than we had before. We may not be serving as many clients as before, but we can use this time, as Adam said, when you come out the other side, we'll have something, more content, or we'll have learned a new skill, or we've added something to our business in some way. So it's how we use it, and how we approach this. That's really the key.
Yeah, and you don't approach people or potential clients, or I do feel that you should still be sort of putting things out there and making the right offers at the right time and all the rest of it. But you don't necessarily, if you're going to go prospecting, for example, like you might have done using LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever it is, it's kind of there, like you're not necessarily going there to to sell to brand new people. You're there and you're offering an extension of help. You're kind of going with the open hands, not expecting to make the sale today or next week, but it's kind of like to show up as the helper that when this sort of comes out at the other end, those conversations can continue, because I'm a big believer that this entire sort of game of business, it's still all about relationships. Take away all the technology, take away all the social media and everything, and all the bits and pieces in it, funnels and all the rest of it, or ecosystems, Chris. It's all about people. It's about relationships. Yeah. It's all about
quarantine, obviously.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think it's there's it really is a level. This whole thing is such a leveler, and it makes you realize the importance of connection. It's hard to do, and I don't know if everyone here is normally working from home. If there's challenges around that, I've been doing this now for 4 years. This is what people call the fancy shed. My house is that way. 30 seconds, my commute. But yeah, I mean, I've set up systems and processes and habits and all the rest of it. So if people want some ideas and tips on that, I can share them. But also, I know Chris runs a completely virtual and remote agency. He's in France now, for crying out loud. He knows a thing or two about how to run remote teams. So if there's any questions around that sort of thing, practical sort of things, take advantage if anyone's got any questions.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all here to help. We've got some amazing skills between us in this group. Anyone like to say anything at all? If any questions or anything that you're finding, this is a time for you to, that's something that you're doing now that you haven't been doing before in your business, that's been really helpful for you. Anything you can share? Or
Darren, put your hand up. Oh, let's take him off. Can you take Darren off mute, Nina?
Absolutely. Darren, you might be able to do that yourself. Here, let me do that for you. Okay, you're unmuted.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Hi, Darren.
Yeah. Okay. Hello. I've been a big fan of yours for a while now, Nina. First and foremost, I just wanted to come on here just to practice doing technology, because I listened to a call of yours ages ago. I had no idea that my camera was going to be on. So the idea was to listen to the seminar laying on the sofa. And I got up to make a cup of tea and I saw myself on the screen. I was freaked out, I couldn't believe it. So so I thought I'd do this deliberately so I can practice.
I'm just glad you're not in your underwear, Darren.
But, yeah, it's a good job of not mincing around in my underpants. But I'll tell you a little bit about myself. But I was out today, just on a positive note. I love some of this stuff. And I was out today, out and around in Milton Keynes. Woburn Abbey's just up the road. I went for a nice walk, some fresh air, a bit of cheeky Tai Chi when no one was around. And then I went down to the local town, get a few bits. And do you know what? I've had some of the best conversations with all sorts of different people today, people being really helpful. And it's been great. I was buzzing when I got home. And but I could have. It's all down to perception and mindset, which is why I'm a big fan of Nina's work. you know, I could have gone out and I could have come home talking about neurons and the economy and fear and stuff. And so what do I do? I'm a meditation teacher. I'm in the process of growing my teaching practice. On the real deal, it's my passion. I've been into it for about 20 years. I've been a certified teacher for about 10 years. But I'm not teaching full time, and I'm also a self-employed painter decorator. That's my bread and butter money. So that's not happening. I've got nothing at the moment for the foreseeable future. And with the meditation, wow, you know, the opportunities to teach a specific technique that I teach over 3 one-hour sessions, whether it's live or on Skype. So I've been putting a few things out on LinkedIn and stuff with some free value, some advice on just breathing low and slow, just to help soothe anxious thoughts, and which will boost your immunity because it's good for you. So I've been trying to give as much little bits of value based on, you know, what I've been into for the last 20 odd years, but also the opportunity to learn to meditate from the comfort of home, seeing as we're going to be stuck there anyway. I'm going to be at home. So I've been offering the course tuition for a snip of the normal cost. So there's lots of positives, and you know, normally if this was a few years ago, I'd be in a place of really being worried. But I just refuse to do that now because I've been training myself over the last couple of years to focus on the solution rather than the problem, because you will get more of what you focus on. It will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. It is a worrying time. My dad's just up the road. He's 85, bless him. He's in good stead, but he's just been on some mild chemo for a potential blood thing. So yeah, I've got all the worry about that. But just for my 10 cents worth, I'm personally optimistic that this is actually going to resolve itself with the help of all the amazing people on the front line. But I think this is going to resolve itself a little bit quicker than the mainstream media would have us believe. You know, and I've actually had it as well. This is the 5th week, thank God. I had the normal flu for 2 weeks, bedridden, crawled home from work. It was an empty property, so I was, and but it was the chest thing after. You could tell that it was quite sinister, that if you did have lung problems, which thankfully I haven't, that could be a problem. But it's, I had it quite bad, and stayed at home, lots of fruit and veg, bit of extra meditation, just some gentle Tai Chi. You can't exercise when you're ill. And yeah, 5 weeks later, woo, I'm okay. So just in case anyone does get it, it's, you know, it's totally manageable. And
well, that's interesting to to have someone that's sort of been through it. Like there's a lot of unknown about like what it is actually like. What does it feel like? What is it? You know, I mean, Nina, you know, I got struck just before all this really kicked off. I was similar thing. I got struck down. I was in like literally knocked out. I don't think it was this thing because I had nothing on my lungs or anything, but it was a tonsillitis. And you know, I came out of bed after 4 days, and the world had just gone nuts. I wasn't really listening to news or doing any. You know, I was just literally knocked out. But I woke up and it's like, oh, did I have it? Did I not? Blah blah blah. First time I've ever got antibiotics over the phone. It's like, what was that all about? You know,
yeah. Well, we personally,
it's nuts.
But yeah. Okay. So
I think something, Darren, that you sort of touch on there that is an interesting thing to consider. It's like looking at the situation, looking at what are people going to be needing over the next few weeks, the next couple of months maybe, and they're going to need things to do with their mental health. The meditation thing is, you know, already something that people are getting into and understanding, but people are going to be stuck in their homes. You know, people like me, I've got kids. We're going to need ideas on how to entertain our kids. We're going to need ideas on how to, you know, exercise at home, all these sorts of things. Like we're going to need entertainment without, you know, it's going to get boring if you just play Xbox and watch movies all day. It's not going to,
or
you know what I mean?
Do something amazing and learn something that's going to carry on. The technique I teach, it's not just for a mini crisis. It's something that will benefit you for the rest of your life. For like 3 hours.
And I like, Darren, what you've said about, I'm offering it a snip of what it normally is, because like sometimes I think maybe that is something that we may all have to consider at this particular time. It's like,
certainly at the moment,
offering the service and what you do at a level that you wouldn't normally offer, but you have to do it recognizing the situation and the way the world is. If you can stomach it, maybe even offering things that, start it now and pay it later, pay what you think it's worth. There's so many sort of offers that you can make.
Practice anyway, so it's not like I'm teaching full time. So, I just want, it's not even the money, I just want to be teaching for the fun and for the love of it.
Exactly. It's your passion, isn't it? And Nancy, thank you so much for adding into chat. There's a Mindful Living Summit in March, and that might be something that other people in this room are interested in finding out about. So thank you for adding that. I loved what you said, Darren. I refuse to be worried. That is a conscious decision. Often our thoughts, they just seem to jump into our minds and we feel we can't do anything about them. This is just how I think. This is just how I am. But we have to, on some level, give permission to that negative thinking. And if we refuse to give it permission to be there, then it can't be there. We can refuse to have fearful thinking. We absolutely can. We're in control of that. And it's taking back our power, isn't it? And realizing we are the creator of our thinking. We are not our thoughts. We are the creator of our thoughts. We're at a much higher level than we believe sometimes that we are. And when we are working, when we're being from that higher level of being the creator of our thinking, that's when we start creating our reality with intent.
I don't know about you, Nina, but I kind of think like sometimes though, like it's okay to have moments when you feel shit.
Absolutely. I have them frequently.
Right? There's nothing wrong with that. Like everyone is going to be going up and down and all the rest of it. Like it's okay to feel shit. Like, in fact, you'd be a bit weird if you didn't at times during this, and you'd have your moments of going, oh crap, right? But I think like what you're saying is you need to be able to sort of come back to your balance, come back to that place where, okay,
what you want rather than the problem. I flip all the time, but I'm more predominantly the good side now, and I'm loving it. Some real exciting things happen with just having worked on the mindset and the allowing of more abundance, prosperity. That's what I'm more focused on: vibrant health, grounded, happy, easy flow, abundance, prosperity.
Fantastic.
I think if there's one thing that I've sort of looked at this situation and learned in a way, it's like, this is a virus, right? This is a virus and it spreads exponentially. So why don't we learn from it? And why don't we try and mirror it? Because kindness, compassion, all those sorts of things can become a virus. They can become infectious. So why don't we kind of like fight the virus in a way with the same thing that it's doing to us by doing little things? Like I've got this sort of philosophy that, you can change the world by helping the person next to you, and they can help the next person next to them, and blah, blah, blah. Like that's just how I see the world. And yet it's kind of like that virus effect. Like if you can do that, and maybe it's not even about sort of trying to help lots and lots and lots of people at this point. It's trying to help just one person with one problem, and then going on to the next one. I don't know. Again, I don't have the answers, but I don't know. Doing little things like that. And one thing Nina and I did say that, after doing this, and, we are sort of coming to the top of the hour, and, happy to stay on a little bit longer if people are, but, first of all, thank you everyone for being here. One of the things that we did sort of say that we'd like to be able, like one of the only outcomes we want is if each person that comes to this is inspired enough to go and do this with their own audience or somebody else that they know, or similar thing to this around what they know and their expertise, and spark a conversation with another group of people. I hope it's inspired you. I hope it's made you think that actually this is one little thing that I can do just to help, offer a safe place, as we said, for conversation, for brainstorming, for just a bit of moral support if it's needed. I hope at least one person on this call goes and does something for their people and with somebody else.
And I've seen a lot of this happening on the internet. I'm getting a lot of emails about just this sort of, you know, groups we can just come along and chat. There's no intention behind it. There's no selling involved. I love it. And I've been to a couple of these types of chats as well. And this is something good that's come out of this coronavirus situation, because I wasn't aware of this sort of thing happening before. So the more we can share and spread, I think this is going to be a nice, hopefully, a long-lasting result from a nice new way of doing things. Let's see.
It's giving the Earth a much-needed chance to catch its breath. It's a bit naive, but it would be great if we could do something like this once or twice a year for a week, where governments support businesses, you know, where we do it happy, not because there's a virus. Just to, I mean, from the satellite pictures over China, you couldn't see it before. There was just like a haze. It's gone, you know. Wouldn't it be great if we could do something along these lines a couple of times a year? Because we need it, don't we, for the planet? I think when this is over, which it will be, that all the environmental scientists will say, wow, have you any idea how good that did our planet when everyone just shut down and slowed down and calmed down for a couple of weeks, you know? So I know it's naive, but it would be great if we could do that a couple of times a year.
Well, you never know. You never know. There's good stuff that's going to come from this, I'm sure. Does anyone else have anyone else who'd like to share, comment, any questions at all?
Well, I just want to say real quick, I'm happy if people want to send out a recipe for the immune system that is highly effective and has been tested by orthomolecular medicine people. So I can send it to you, or people can just say they want it, whatever. I don't have it right here, so I can't put it in the chat, but I'm happy to send it out to people.
Perfect. And I know you've put your email in here, Bettina. So if anyone wants that from Bettina, please just scroll up to find Bettina's email, and then you can email her directly or put it into chat, and then Bettina will follow up with you.
Yes.
Michael, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to affirm, and I agree very much with you, Adam, about the, it's okay to feel, like you said, shit, okay? And I'm really grateful for Letitia and her speaking to, you know, Letitia spoke to it 9/11, and Bettina spoke to this as well, as to realizing that it's not, and sharing with our clients, you know, the idea that it's not pathological to have this worry, this stress that's underlying. There is an undercurrent throughout the world now of a sense of anxiety and the tension and fear and so on. And coming alongside our clients or friends or family or even strangers, maintaining the physical distance, of course, but being able to be there for them and saying, it's okay, we're in this together, and normalizing it, if you will, and owning it within ourselves and helping others to walk through that in their own journeys, you know, because like you all said, and we're here now with this, community is essential. I mean, we're designed, that's what we're created for, to cherish and be cherished. So I just wanted to further add to what you said, Adam, and you, Nina. Thank you.
Thank you. That's so important. That's such an important point you made. We are in it together. And working as an entrepreneur, I don't know how you feel about this, but it feels something quite isolating that we're doing it on our own. But actually, we have an amazing community online that we can reach out to.
Sure.
And people want the same as us, fundamentally. We're in it together.
So yeah, I mean, I hope this has been helpful, valuable, useful. I mean, I'm open to doing it again, Nina, if you are, if it's...
Absolutely, yes. Elizabeth asked, when will you have this group sharing again? I'm happy to do this again. We thank you, everyone who's come. I really appreciate you being here and sharing and just being part of this. Thank you so much for that. I don't know about you, Adam, but I've had a huge amount of fun. I've learned so much today, and the time has flown by.
Yeah, and it's good to have the conversation, you know, around, you know, the way that it is, but in a forward-looking way, right? And
yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Claude, for being here, and Mary, and everyone else who's given your comments. Thank you so much. And if anyone would like the recording, please just put your email into chat, and I'll make sure that you get the recording for this.